And we're live. How's everyone doing today? You're here with Solember and Coders178.
Hello, hello.
And we're here today to talk about immigration and global development. Pretty straightforward topic. We'll be tackling the pros and the cons. Those are two things about immigration, and how it's affected global development and what the importance of global development is in general. Please remember to just smash that like button with all of your energy, full on Goku style.
100%.
100%. If you're here on the YouTube channel, drop in some comments and such. We would love to hear what you have to say about the subject. Ask any questions, and we will struggle to answer them with all of our knowledge of one day studying the subject.
That's a good way to put it.
If you're tuning in on Spotify or one of the other streaming services, thanks for tuning in. We hope that we give you something entertaining and educational on your drive, transition, or whatever you're going through right now. So let's just dive right into this. Coders, what is your expert qualification on immigration?
Well, I'm an expert in bro science,
Okay.
as you may know. I don't know how much that translates over to immigration, but we shall see as the podcast continues.
All right. So this one's an easy one. Let's define immigration. That's what we usually do. What is immigration?
Good way to start. I would say moving from a place that you live to a different place, looking for a better life. Maybe not even a better life, but a different life.
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Open up my drink. Did that come through sounding nice?
Oh yeah,
it nice was and crisp.
I dig it.
Did we both just crisp at the same time? Was that
crisp?
Okay, nice. Immigration. I know the definition is the actual task of coming to live in a foreign country permanently. So I'm not going to say what are the pros and cons, but what are some of the things that we are hearing in the media today, specifically in the United States, about immigration, some problems we've had in the recent years. Arguments you hear people saying for and against immigration.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously we hear people saying, I say people, but I hope you all know exactly what I'm talking about, that Mexicans are rapists and criminals. We hear all that.
Which doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, anyone could. First off, it's dangerous categorizing people as a criminal group, because then you drop your guard around people who don't fit that stereotype. So, you're more inclined to make yourself vulnerable to someone who is not in your perceived concept of a dangerous person. They talk about kidnappings and things like that. And that is a real issue. Kidnapping is a big issue, but people aren't kidnapping people here in the United States and then selling them to people here in the United States, which is counterintuitive to what immigration is, people who come here and stay here. So, like, obviously someone in the United States had to have done that, but like it's not like Forbes top 10 jobs list 2020 here. And we are dealing with a lot of groups that just feel that that immigration is a dangerous thing. So,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a lot of misinformation, you know, and like miseducation on where, like, how our country was founded. You know what I mean? Like, this is literally the land of immigrants. Like, it always has been for, well, not always, but
I mean, you know, I mean, I'm not sure how obvious it is from the picture. I'm not happy that people can say that without first acknowledging anything we say. First off, the colonists came here. They killed, murdered, even raped the Native Americans who lived here. So I'm going to say it right now. White people are rapists and murderers.
Yeah.
You're a white guy. Can you agree with that statement?
History has a way of telling you that that's true.
Historically, white people are the most dangerous immigrants. And no, I'm not self-hating. I'm acknowledging the flaws of my culture.
Mm-hmm.
We had slaves. We killed natives. And it's that simple. You know?
Yeah.
And no, I'm not saying that people today would do the same thing. Some would. But there are plenty of white people now who are receptive of the cause of equality, and I respect them for that.
Mm-hmm.
But then there aren't. And there are people who are trying to take us back a few decades.
Yeah, a few people.
And yeah, it's just that problematic behavior. That has, I guess, been recycled over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
To that we become sensitive to it, like desensitized.
Yeah.
And so I think immigration fails when people refuse to integrate. And that is when they come with their culture and make that the new culture. I don't know what I just did on Discord, but I lost our stuff. Fixed it. There we go.
Oh.
I lost our bubbles. Yeah, I fixed it.
Is the YouTube up? I'm just checking that.
That's how I found out that I lost the bubbles. But yeah, no. Is when people fail to integrate. That's when immigration becomes problematic. When you come in and your culture directly conflicts with the culture that's already established in a location.
Yeah.
Problematic.
Well, I was actually just out in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I was doing a tour in one of the colonial areas, and they used to when they would capture prisoners of war, like Native American prisoners of war, they would take them to these schools and they would teach them Christianity and all, you know what I mean, like, or Catholicism, whatever it was there. I forget exactly what it was, but they would teach them that, you know what I mean, and make them go back home with that and try to teach it to their village, or either you teach them to be like us, or we come through and we kill everyone.
Yeah, it's
like that kind of mentality. Like either you are like us, or you can't be here anymore.
And it's one of those things that we talk about where we, again, expect people to come to our country and then integrate into our established society. But look how we got here.
Yep.
I do think that it's appropriate for a country to ask people to come and integrate. And yes, during colonial times, we were a different society completely. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. It's just we were a different society that did some shameful things. By today's standards. By the standards of the past, that was Tuesday, you know? Wake up, drink some tea, go off and take over something. If you weren't conquering something, you were rebelling against something. It's like the fire of creation, though, for me. I definitely have this strong view of chaos being essential for change. So, an unfortunate, awful thing that ended up advancing society to the point it is today could have been done differently, but here we are. And now we have a president who's talking about Mexicans being rapists and criminals. Never throwing any data up to collaborate this. Just saying it and expecting it to be believed. What do you feel about
Some
that?
people, some people really do believe it too. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people like think that he's just talking gibberish, and like everyone thinks he's crazy. But there's a lot more people than people think that are really supporting that man and agree with everything he says. I think people need to realize that.
I'll say this for another day for the most part, but that's something I call the logic of the electric eel. In that
Mhm.
we we know the electric eel exists. Obviously, now we're adults, but when you're children, you're told about this eel that can produce electricity from its body to shock people, and you just accept that as true because it comes from a trusted source,
Mhm.
right? Well, for some people, the president, especially a president of the same party of them, is always an indisputable trusted source.
Right, he wouldn't be president if he wasn't saying the
People can't.
truth constantly.
It's logical. Let's not write people who follow Trump off as stupid, because that's not
Right.
fair to them. Because you have to think. Just it's getting the mindset here. We're gonna take a second to relax, calm down, and think. Right. Of the following sentence. Of course, he's not gonna go up and lie on something that's so obviously disputable. So it must be true. It's the question of like, why would someone tell such an obvious lie that they could easily be checked against, right?
Mhm.
And risk that. So people, instead of fact checking, think, well, obviously he's not lying because he wouldn't lie. So they have a cyclical fallacy there. Um,
Mhm.
he wouldn't lie, so he's not lying. He's not lying because he wouldn't lie, and it just keeps going in circles. Um, and they trust that. So you have, when you fact check even a little bit, um, you fall off that cycle, um, which is good. You want to fall off the cycle. You
Right.
you don't want to be that guy um, who is just being spoon fed everything. But some people are comfort and complacent in that because information wasn't at their fingertips. Like the entirety of human knowledge was not at their fingertips at the time. So you become complacent in your source of knowledge. Um, so if something agrees with you and is a high profile figure, that's a news source. You only question it if it disagrees with you.
Okay. I think
Um,
that's a good way to put it.
and that's not everyone, obviously. I've known you for a while. You seem pretty questioning and querious. I'm not sure that's a real word, but I like the way it sounds. I like querious.
Aquarius. Now you're right though. I do like to question. I think that's a big thing with our generation. We kind of like to question things and like look outside. I mean, sometimes people go a little bit too far with not believing anything that's going on, but I think you should always question. Even if you trust someone, you should still question. You know,
Exactly.
just to really understand what's happening.
And so that again, that comes back to the topic of the day, immigration.
Hmm.
Um, we're very, and I say we. I'm not saying every individual person. I'm talking about we as society are very likely to not trust someone who's coming in. You know, create scapegoats. They're the outsiders. They're the problem. Um, it's so much easier to lay blame than to think of ourselves as awful, horrible people doing awful, horrible things. And I'm just going to tell you now, at the end of the day, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to, you know, admit you made an awful choice. Because when you don't admit it, then you start burying yourself in that awful choice. Um, and the victims are the people who get attacked, criminalized, labeled, and such, when all they're trying to do is escape from a bad situation and embrace the concept of American freedom.
Right.
And why is this unlisted? I have to fix this. apparently our public. There we go. Our
Let me give
stream
it
was
a
unlisted. Someone told me that. Thank you. Well, I guess you're watching. I appreciate you for the tip there, guy, for telling me to fix that. But so, what do we do? What are the benefits of immigration? It increases our workforce.
Mhm.
It brings in a wide variety of skills. Um, creates diversity in our genetics and in our knowledge and in our function.
culture too. You know,
Cultural diversity means more food on the menu and more knowledge in the brain.
exactly. It's a good thing. You know,
Yeah.
you get to learn about different kinds of people. You know.
Um, well, not even learn about the people per se. It's when you find out how so and so dealt with a problem, you now have that knowledge of how to deal with that problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple thing. And by the way, pop that link in your Snapchat if you haven't.
I'm still not seeing the video popping up for some reason.
Just a quick. It will now, but yeah. But yeah. If you have more people who come from other places, let's say you breed. Obviously, you integrate, you intermingle. Sarah likes that guy from Guadalajara. He's giving her those Guadalajaran eyes. I actually don't know what Guadalajara is, so that's just like another white guy group. I'm going to be like really embarrassed. But I don't know why that was the first thing that came to me. I know it's like in Mexico, so I'm assuming it's like something like that. So his people historically would have survived different diseases and outbreaks and such, medical emergencies, strengthened their genetics against things like that. Just like her race, Sarah, the white woman who I did not clarify. She's an American white woman. I didn't want to say Karen, but now she's Karen.
She has morphed into Karen.
Karen and the Guadalajaran. Meet up, fall in love, intermingle, make children. Those children have the best of both worlds from them. Because there's some things that you just pass down. And outside of making beautiful, beautiful babies, which we should all aspire to do, you have now made a stronger child who is more likely to survive and more likely to thrive. There are a lot of benefits to breeding interracially. I don't like race either. I want to talk about that. We're the human race. I don't know why we do it like that. I think it's because if we use like the terms we use for like dogs that have different like I don't know, like it feels like weird.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Like I know it's stupid to but like scientifically, yeah, it's like a breed. But anyways, off of that, you've now created Guadalajara, which has benefits from both things, and it's good to do that. It's one because you're not being racist and you're accepting that people have merit inside, not out. I don't understand looking at someone like I get it if they're out there wearing like a short shirt, their belly's hanging out, they got pants on that say juicy, and you feel like that juice might come in a barrel. Like, you do you, girl, but I'm not into it. personally. I hope you find somebody, obviously.
Of
I
course.
will never sit there and tell you. I like that you're laughing at this. I'll never tell someone, "Hey, you don't deserve love because you're fat or whatever." I mean, but like to look at someone and be like their skin color and be repulsed by a skin color, that's a little different. Like I might have a conversation over here with the large lady and socialize, make friends. And obviously, some people don't. Some people look at that and go, "Ugh," and they'll make fun of her and be horrible, awful people. By the way, guys, this is a message to men. Stop doing that. It's okay not to like something, but it's not okay to shame somebody because they don't meet your ideological standards. Not ideological, your visual standards.
Right.
Everyone's trying to live their best life, and the only purpose you serve by downing someone is interfering with their best life. You're not improving yours. You're not adding anything to your life. So stop it.
It only has negative impacts. Like nothing.
It's the exact same as shaming someone for the color of their skin. You're not helping anyone by doing it. You're being a horrible person. And sure, women do this too, but this is a male problem predominantly. And I'm
Mhm.
not going to sit here and tell women what they can and can't do. So men, young men, take this lesson to heart. You don't have to like it, but you definitely don't have to down it. Okay, just if you don't like something, move away from it, accept that it exists, and do your own thing. I don't care what that thing is, but it should not be making that person feel bad for being something you don't like.
Mhm.
And that's where immigration and stuff falls apart too, because we would not expand as a society if we didn't allow the introduction and integration of new ideas and concepts. Like, how has immigration affected your life, coders?
I don't. I mean, I don't know how it would directly impact, but I mean, look at everything around us. You know. I mean, my family probably came here, honestly, as immigrants. The more I think about it,
Yeah.
I have family from Ireland and Germany, so I mean, like, I'm not in Ireland or Germany.
Are you red skinned?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. So
I haven't.
clearly,
Yeah,
your
exactly.
family came as some kind of immigrant. Your
Right.
family didn't just like wake up one day and be like, "We're albino Native Americans." They might have.
I don't know
I'm
my
gonna pull a
exact
Jim
ancestry,
Gaffigan
but
here. Oh, what if there's an albino Native American in the audience? We're in America. But yeah, like obviously immigration affects you there, but like day to day life, do you enjoy the medical system on occasion?
yeah, definitely.
Influenced by immigration. And I'm not just talking about white people being here. I'm talking about like something that was brought in that already existed in another country.
Hmm.
Um, do you like tortillas?
One of my favorite things to eat in the world.
Because how versatile it is, you know?
Oh yeah.
Thank you, brown Americans from various places in the world, Mexicans, Spanish, Guadalajaran, which is Mexican, for bringing us wonderful, delicious foods. Obviously, that is a selfish value to have, but I still appreciate it. I hold that value, and I love your food. I love your culture. I love your people. I personally want more coming here. Thank you also for coming to this country and taking jobs at such a low rate of pay that it allows the growth of society. You don't deserve to be treated that way, but you made that sacrifice because for you that was bettering your life. And, you know, to hell with the people who took advantage of you like that. But thank you for supporting this country. That's my views. Like, you built us up, and now that we're here, someone up top is trying to put you down. And yeah, that comes into the global development aspect of things. How does immigration affect global development?
Build cities, man. Literally.
A country needs engineers. They don't have enough engineers because their education system's inferior for some reason.
Somehow.
Yeah, somehow. Outsource. Invite engineers from other countries and give them an opportunity that they're looking for in this country.
Mm-hmm.
India is full of medical and technical professionals, and we outsource. Let's look at the integration of sales in a market. China has such low worker standards that America can outsource to them for production. Their quality of life ratio. So I should probably start with that. Quality of life. When quality of life in a country is higher, everything tends to be more expensive. Especially when you have outliers like 500 TV shows and 6,000G internet connections or whatever. New movies coming out in theaters every week.
Mm-hmm.
Such a huge fast food and coffee culture, right? We talked about coffee earlier this week. Even the drug culture. So the quality of life in the United States is expensive. So workers are also going to be expensive. Air conditioning is not standard in every country, right? We do have an entitlement issue in this country. We feel like we're entitled to all of these creature comforts. Other countries are a little bit more humble with that. Sure, they can appreciate the fine things, and yes, their workers are suppressed to a degree, but they have roofs, they have food, and they can afford to live off of the work. So we outsource labor to them because it's cheaper to pay them. Their minimum wage is cheaper. Their quality of life is cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
People think that that's getting rid of jobs in America, right?
Oh, you've heard a lot of talks about it.
Yeah. But let me ask you this. When people stop doing this in China, but don't switch over to the United States to produce their products, which they cannot do, we just do not have, that is impractical. We do not have the space to do that. We do not have the workforce to do that, and we do not have the financial standards to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not creating new jobs. We're destroying industries. And we're allowing companies that are already here, looking at Ford and similar, just big money, like all the big money is lobbying to just destroy these outer industries because they're the only ones that benefit from that. We're failing to serve the purpose of immigration, integration, and functioning with our allies, right? So when products can't be produced in China, the people in the United States whose job is to sell that product or to unload that product or to distribute that product or to analyze and review that product or to put that product on the shelf in Walmart, those jobs disappear. So if anyone listening to this takes something away from that, understand that we're not creating jobs by shutting out other countries. We're destroying jobs here in the States.
Mm.
Thoughts?
I don't know too much on that side of things. You know what I mean? I'm sure.
No, I was just calling everyone who hates China thoughts. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, I watched a an anti-Biden smear campaign thing the other day, like on an ad on Hulu, and it is a video of him saying the Chinese people aren't that bad of people, and the thing cut. I was like, do you want someone running the country who thinks that? Like, I'm like, what? I'm like,
What a neutral statement.
I was like, he just said that Chinese people aren't bad people, and y'all are trying to flip that to like that he's like allies with China. I was like what? I was like sitting there like people are. There's no way someone watched that and took away that Joe Biden is siding with China and trying to destroy our country. Like I don't. It left me like mind blown that that was their ad.
Well, here's an unusual thing. By putting this wall up between us and China, we're actually benefiting China. Have you heard
China
about
doesn't
the new
really need
yuan?
us. I don't think people understand China's different.
Have you heard of the new yuan thing?
Nah, what is that?
Um, so basically, China is the only country right now that has potential to replace the U.S. dollar on the open market. Um,
Wow.
it's the people's currency is what they call it. It's the RMB. I'm just gonna play the sound here so people know I'm saying it right. I'm just gonna play it.
人民币
So renminbi. That's it. You can't hear it, coders, but I just played the sound.
Okay.
It's the renminbi. It's also called the redvac, which is like contrary to the U.S., which is the paper dollar, the greenback. So it's a competing currency. Obviously, if the U.S. dollar gets replaced as the most powerful global currency, where does that put us? That offsets our entire way of life. Like
I never knew.
yeah, it's just another currency that's competing with us, and I believe it's gold backed. I'll check on that one. Yeah, they're pushing to have the renminbi gold backed, which means like the U.S. dollar is the value is backed by gold, which is why it has value. Like it's actually got a physical value.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called the gold standard. And I believe right now the Chinese yuan's backed by the foreign exchange reserve with less than 5%. I don't remember what the number is. Backed by gold reserve. So it's substantially different.
Okay.
And I know it's all boring economic stuff, but the takeaway here is that by creating this, if you force someone to fight back against you, then they're going to build up against you. Being allies with China, we could definitely survive in the same global economy because the way that we are very symbiotic with each other.
Hopefully, we can kind of stay that way. I think.
So, I mentioned symbiosis, and that comes back to integration. A lot of people consider immigrants to be parasites, leeching off of America and not bringing anything in, which simply isn't true.
I think they're bringing more in than a lot of people.
They're coming in and working. Right, that's what it is. Like,
exactly. I don't see what that's the whole point of America. You know, like that's what people try and make America out to be.
You don't have Karens and Chads going out into the fields and working the fields. Obviously, it's just not how things work. It should work that way, Get out. If you're going to complain, get out there and do it yourself.
Exactly.
But they're not stealing jobs. You're not seeing. Thank you for letting us know, because I know that the video's unlisted. It should be fixed now, but it won't update until the end. But yeah, it's sorry. I got a message in chat stream. You probably saw it. The jobs that immigrants are taking, they know that they're coming to this country to take a job that other people don't want. They're taking that, and they're owning that. And we're treating it like they're stealing corporate level jobs. Like, I'm trying to make up a name that doesn't have like some sort of race thing. Please don't take this as a racial thing. A scenario, let's say Raul is coming from Mexico to find a better life. He's not going to come from Mexico and sit down as the CEO of Tesla. He's not going to be like, sorry, Elon, I flipped the coin and I got your job. And like, people are going to have to accept that. No one's stealing a job. You cannot steal a job. They might come in, gain the qualifications to get the job, but they are American when they do that.
Right.
Being born here doesn't make you extra American, as Christopher Columbus will tell you. What's that?
I don't think people understand the foundation of America, really. You know what I mean? Like, it was built on immigrants. It was always about immigration. Like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'll say it.
Stopped.
Farmers might have to lower the price of their produce because of immigration. That's a thing. But that savings carries on to the consumer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit later, we're going to be talking about trickle-down economy in a future video. So please stay tuned to that in one of our future podcasts. But right now, trickle-down economy fails, and that can be seen in every industry, all the way down to farming. But that would be mitigated a lot if we just allowed. I'm not saying open the borders either. I'm not for open borders. Obviously, people who need an escape and will contribute should be allowed. People who are professionals should be allowed. People who follow the process and enter this country to improve themselves, to change their life, should be allowed. People who are coming here to throw a wrench in things, make trouble, fight, set things on fire, have long laundry list of criminal backgrounds, not allowed. Very easy, simple. Like it's not rocket science.
Right.
It's like the people
borders, but still.
Yeah, it's like people who say that liberals want to take the guns away, right? That's not how it works.
Like, good luck trying to take anyone's gun. That's just not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
It's not what they want to do. No, nobody. When I say nobody, I could be wrong, but I do not think I'm wrong. Nobody is saying let's just take every gun from everybody who already has a gun. If you already have a gun and you got it legally, that's your gun. Keep your gun.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying they want to make it harder for people who have mental problems and pose a danger with a weapon to get a gun.
Yeah, I 100% think that it's way too easy to get a gun in America. Because I was talking to my friend, he was gonna sell me one of his, and I was like, oh, so I gotta go get my license or whatever. He's like, nah, dude, we just go to a nerdery and I just exchange it into your name, and that you don't have to get any like licensing or anything.
Right.
And I was just like, what? I was like, what? Wait, what? Like, seriously, you can just transfer it to me, and it's like, it's just in my name, and I can just go shoot it. And he's like, yeah, dude. So yeah, I'll take you to the range and everything. We can shoot. I was like, dude, that it just didn't make. I thought it was a little bit harder than that. You know what I mean? I thought you had to go somewhere and like take a test that you understand how a gun works. That should be elite. Like the
You should have to take a test. Like you should have to
Yeah.
take a class on gun safety.
Yeah, because guns are dangerous as fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
People hurt with gun accidents are more likely going to be people who are not like accidentally
got a
shoot
gun
someone
randomly.
through a wall, or
Yeah.
you inappropriately fired a gun and smacked yourself in the face.
there was that YouTuber who shot his gun on stream by accident because he didn't know what he like.
Agreed.
It's like, come on, man. That's how you just kill someone who's on the other side of that wall just
Yeah.
because you accidentally shot. Like it's ridiculous.
And see, that's our responsibility. Education should be our responsibility here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, you should. I'm not going to say that people should have to have an education to vote, but I am saying that we should all take a personal responsibility to educate ourselves on every aspect of our lives that we're complaining about: immigration, gun safety. You know, we potty train our kids on. I think we could teach our kids how to not be horrible, awful people. Like.
Oh yeah.
It
shouldn't be hard to teach someone that.
In the same number of sentences as you need to tell someone to close the door when they use the bathroom, you can tell someone, oh, also, people of every color are equal. Yeah, Canada's got great gun law. And look at the people who have guns, they just say the line. You think criminals are going to follow gun laws? Like, that's such a dumb argument.
They're going to get guns regardless.
Why have any law if you're going to use that argument?
Yeah, exactly. Like, people can get guns on the street, like on the black market. Like, that's always going to happen. You can't avoid that.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Unless you take away every gun, you know what I mean? They still get guns. They will still get guns. So I don't know why people can't get that. Like, there's a market for that. You know, like it's money.
Yeah,
that's going to always be there. People will take that risk every day.
See, I say that same argument to people. They say, well, criminals are going to get guns anyway, so we should make them legal. I'm like, yeah, but you're also against weed, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. And you can't get medicinal weed and have a gun in PA. Because in order to get the medicinal card, you have to have some kind of condition which would restrict you from getting a gun. Like, my friend had to sell his before he got his medical card.
Well, now we're just talking about in general, like the hypocrisy of it.
Oh yeah.
The people who are pro-gun are generally anti something else.
Yeah, exactly.
But the criminals aren't going to believe that, so you might as well make it legal for everyone to smoke pot and just get it out of the way. Like, come on now.
Yeah, dude,
why have alcohol restrictions? Kids are just gonna go out and drink anyway. They'll get that booze.
Yeah. We live in a really backwards, contradictory society. Just can't seem to pinpoint what they want to do exactly.
They want to use facts and current events for their sole advantage, and they feel clever for doing it. Like, in that moment when they say, well, criminals will get guns, in their mind, that is, I win this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's the same with immigrants. Like, oh, what about that one guy who immigrated here and attacked somebody? Ooh, yeah, I guess I'm right here. I won this argument. If immigration was illegal, that person would never have been raped.
Like, you could point out just as many cases of people who have already been here doing the same thing. So, you know what I mean? There's bad people everywhere in the world. It's not about where someone's from. It's about if you're a good or bad person at the end of the day.
Cassandra Jeffrey in the comment section says, take all the guns away and people will launch potatoes.
There you go.
I'd rather lunch potatoes than launch potatoes.
Oh, speaking of lunch.
Num num. Soon, we still have some time on this subject. But it's just, why do people think that it's okay to stonewall immigration? Like, you know what it is we are told that it affects us, and some people accept that, and some people research that. And of course,
our jobs.
Yeah, it's like if someone walks up to me and tells me a good reason not to let immigrants, like I was saying a minute ago, like, someone would be like, "What about that one immigrant who raped that girl?" Ooh, checkmate. Well, I mean, what about people who've lived here forever who do that? It's there's going to be bad people in every group, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about that one immigrant who saved that life? What about that one
Mm-hmm.
immigrant who became a lifeguard? What about that one immigrant who became a doctor? What about that
Right.
one immigrant who just like went around doing backflips and being cool all day? Like, I don't know. Every guy in their life at one point says, "I'm gonna do a backflip. I'm gonna learn how to do a backflip."
Then they really learn how to do a backflip, man.
Yeah, immigrants, they really learn how to do it. No, I'm kidding. We all do that. Just a small note. Is this a guy thing? I haven't asked you about this. Is that a guy thing? Every guy says, "I'm gonna learn how to do a backflip." Is that a thing that you've done or experienced?
I think at one point I probably wanted to learn how to do a backflip from watching like some like parkour video or like Jackass or something. Like, dude, I could do a backflip.
Yeah, I could
Can't
do
be
that. It
done.
looks easy. We all say it once.
Until it's time to actually try and do a backflip, and you're like, you know what, man?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do
I
it.
want to do this.
Like,
I might not want to do
You
that.
crouch down, you do the arm motion, and you might jump, but you don't go all in. You're like, nah, you land on your feet. You're like, nah, I'm not gonna. Not
That's how I
today.
was with skateboarding too. Like I wanted to skateboard so bad, man. Like I watched so many videos about it. I got a skateboard, and like I'm riding, man. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to try to do a kickflip and get just like break my ankle. Because one time I ollied off of something, and my board went out from under me, and I knocked the wind out of myself. And for the first time, I felt that sensation of almost, feel like you're going to die.
Well, I'm dying. This is how I go.
Yeah, and I was a bigger kid too, so like the weight distribution on the skateboard was just not. It wasn't right. I learned that day that it was not for me, and I had to accept that sadly, and walk away from it.
I want to get back into
Yeah.
roller skating.
Oh,
Indoor roller skating. Paint the walls as I go. What a beautiful concept that would be.
oh god.
But now I'm thinking about. Okay, so I actually have like this innate fear of falling on my face and breaking things. Like when I walk towards a curb, like I'm terrified of. This is going to segue back into the immigration thing. I'm terrified of falling on my face and like breaking my mouth on the curb, like they did in Scarface. I think it was Scarface, was it? Kiss the Curb.
One of those old movies.
Some old gangster movie. So I have a phobia of that, and that used to keep me from walking outside because I was scared of that. Right,
Mhm.
even though it's completely irrational, I'm not going to fall over, fall on there, and just like explode my skull. But I'd seen the imagery, and I had that irrational fear.
Mhm.
So I'd always walk in the middle of the street or really, really far on the sidewalk, but I would never walk towards a curb. So that fear kept me from doing a simple, unrelated task, right? And that's what
Okay.
immigration does. Immigration keeps us from doing something that's very simple, and that is just going by our day-to-day lives that nobody is trying to interfere with.
Okay.
And I would love to say there are cons to it, like some cons to immigration. Like there are some bad sides to it.
Okay.
Especially in like there are places in the world where like your GDP might decrease. Well, I'm going to use economicshelp.org. They had a really good resource. I'm going to go down their pros and cons very quickly. The pros were increased economic output, potential entrepreneurs, people coming with ideas, increased demand and growth, more people here using products and producing products. The workforce becomes more skilled. I think we've covered most of this. And the government revenues benefit. The population, which is aging, generally that becomes more a higher ratio of young workers. The labor market becomes flexible. If we have a skill shortage, that's what we talked about earlier with doctors. We have undesirable job vacancies. Talked about that. Nobody wants to be a farmer, Karen. I would love to. Construction, nobody wants to do it. You see these guys out there in 100-something degrees weather building buildings in the middle of the day. That's amazing. And multicultural society. And again, people, that's economichelps.org had that list. And the cons of immigration are all potential, like things that could happen. Like you could have a potential negative impact on real wages. The GDP per capita could fall. You could have more structural unemployment. Public services do get more pressure, like buses and stuff, but that adds revenue to the government. Housing costs will go up because there's more demand. And if the immigration is too rapid, you'll get disharmony where the new culture is starting to pressure the old culture.
Okay.
And that's it. I can live with all of those things. We have a comment here from the ever loyal Cassandra Jeffrey. The only part of immigration in Canada that is, by the way, she's Canadian, that affected me negatively was working in food service during Ramadan, feeding multiple families of 7 or more in angry people a half hour before closing. That's actually very important because Ramadan they fast during the day.
Yeah.
And they only break the fast at sunset. So I believe that's what you're talking about, Madam Jeffrey. But anyway, that affects people personally, obviously. But in the food service industry, that's beneficial because people will eat out and celebrate more frequently. They have to eat halal and things like that. So people who meet that standard. So some businesses will say, hey, we'll have Ramadan celebration with more halal options during Ramadan, which is wonderful. They'll ease up on the stress. I personally live in a very heavy Indian community here in Texas. I'm just going to say it. Most of the buffets are just not great. It's usually like one small table with like 10 dishes on it, and that's a buffet at some Indian buffets, halal buffets. And
gotta have options out here, man.
What's that?
So I gotta have options out here.
Well, yeah, it's a lot more expensive and it's a lot less selection. So, but that's because I'm obviously not affected by halal eating myself personally, so I can go out and go to the buffet, and I'm like, oh man, you're telling me that this crab leg was slaughtered inside a cow while the cow was eating a pig? I'm not saying I would do that, obviously. I'm just saying, like, I have less strict standards personally, so it's hard to empathize with people who have to maintain halal meals. My family has strong halal culture as well. It's just, I have to maintain that. And I'm glad to do it. Obviously, it's supportive and such.
Right.
And obviously, I'm educated on Muslim culture now because of it. Which, by the way, I just suggest anyone, before you start saying anything hateful or angry, educate yourself on what you're about to say, because that comes back to bite you in the end. I've said some very ignorant things in my life that I wish I hadn't said, because I gained more knowledge as I became more open-minded. I had a very small exposure to something, and that became how I perceived the entirety of it. And I was wrong, and that was my error. Muslim culture is a very beautiful, wonderful thing. And
It is.
yes, in some places there's war, and there's things that Muslims do, but even here in this country, you have extreme Christians and things like that. So that's everywhere.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's been more killings because of Christianity than any other religion. If we're gonna go that route,
Yeah, exactly. It's understand that is not a cultural thing. That is a human thing. A desire to impose one's will on the receiving culture, which again, immigration. It's for some people, it's very hard to immigrate. It's not their first choice. It's something they have to do for their safety, security. Maybe they just love the country they're going to. Maybe they're passionate about it and they want to contribute to that. Or maybe we ask them to come and we need them. So I will say this now, even though by now the more opinionated opponents of immigration have probably left the first time we said it. But if you stayed, I'm pointing my finger at you and I'm telling you right now to educate yourself. Embrace what immigration has done for you personally.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't handle it, then you can just leave.
Pack it up.
You're not welcome here if you can't welcome here.
Oh, we're dropping some knowledge on them at the end here.
It's truth, though, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
nobody just picks up their entire life and moves on a whim. It's either well thought out or it's necessity. Ask yourself where that person is coming from, and then you answer the question, why don't they deserve the quality of life that America promises? Why is it something that you deserve and they do not? What have you done? What have you contributed to entitle you to the health care, to the comfort, to the entertainment, to the protection of America? That this woman, mother of 5, doesn't deserve escaping from her abusive husband, bringing her talent and skills, blending and integrating into the American workforce so she can get paid minimum wage and try to struggle to support her 5 children with nothing but respect for this country. Who washes your dishes after you get done eating at your restaurant? You know? It might be a white woman, but chances are if you go back there, it's not someone who is white. It's not someone who's born here, probably. It's someone who's doing the best they can to improve their life, and we should respect that and accept that. Like, empathize, you know? Most of the people opposing immigration are Christians. You're a hypocrite if you do not let your love of God, your love of Christ, be the first thing that someone sees when they reach out for help.
Should probably reread that book. You know?
Pick it up, reread it. Ask yourself if you're representing it well.
Mm-hmm. Because it's all about loving and caring about, the people around you, and I think some people seem to lose that somehow.
But what's your summary, Coders?
I think the way you ended it right there was I think that's always the end of our episodes, is to educate yourself about these things. You can listen to us talk about it for hours, but if you take the time and really learn about other cultures, you can see that, like, there's a lot of beautiful things out there. I don't see why you wouldn't want to integrate it more into your life.
Absolutely. Use us as a jumping off point, not as the end all be all. Learn about immigration, learn about immigrants, learn about your history and your culture and how you got here. And yeah, educate yourself. If you can't do that, then go out and ask somebody to educate you. It's a choice you're making. If you have an opinion and that opinion is stopping you from researching, then you have the wrong opinion. There's literally nothing in the world, right, that has the end all be all be, well, I don't want to educate myself because I believe it. That is the right decision. There's no example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that tells you that part of supporting something is not educating yourself on the opposite is the wrong choice. Whew. A little bit of angry boy time there.
No, it's good to get people enjoy the fiery passion.
Well,
I think that's what inspires people.
well, I've been Solember, and
We're going to talk about the next couple of days, what we're planning. I think we should. I want to try and get a guest on here in a few days, maybe just someone to come and join the topic if that'd be something people would like.
well, we will have some more people coming in to talk other than Coders and I. We have taken that stance that we will not speak from the perspective of someone not represented in the conversation. So, for example, I'm not female. Coders is not female. We will not represent perspective of women. We'll identify mistreatment of women, but we're not going to say women feel, women think, women are, because that's not our place.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to talk about abortions because we're not women. We don't have any say in that. That's not our bodies.
Right.
We're not going to talk about how black people feel about systemic racism. We're going to say whether or not we think racism is good or bad. Obviously, I think it's bad. Coders probably agrees.
I do agree.
Didn't talk about the perspective of immigrants. I didn't represent them because neither of us are immigrants. It's just a respect thing. You won't ever hear us say so-and-so feels because we couldn't possibly know. So we will be diversifying our podcast, maybe adding a third person or maybe switching up one of us for someone else every once in a while. You might see Coders talking to someone else. We do have, you might remember Lieutenant Swerve from previous streams. Might be joining the podcast streams in the near future to give perspective on African American men in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But
I have a couple of friends who also want to step on too. I was talking to yesterday, so I think
might have
diversify
Rufus.
the podcast. I hope that we could get Rufus for an episode, maybe a video game episode. More fun,
or just to talk about what it's like to be fat. I'm not joking.
Give perspectives, man.
I didn't mean it like obesity in America and the pressure to eat unhealthily. Again, neither you nor I are morbidly obese, and definitely neither of us own it like he does. What a lad that fella is.
Oh man, respect for that.
Yeah, but
so that's someone's comfortable in their skin, man. I can always respect anyone who's comfortable with who they are.
I will say tomorrow, we do have an episode planned. It's I can't believe I forgot what it was. Tomorrow we're doing societal responsibility. That is our responsibility to present ourselves, hold ourselves accountable, and confront problematic behaviors. I was thinking that's Wednesday. On Thursday,
I think we can do a little bit more a fun topic on Thursday. Kind of balance it out.
The way the world will end.
There we go. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah, more fun than it sounds. And then on Friday, we're talking about music and how it's affected society.
That's fun.
And how it motivates people. And we will be having a guest speaker regarding that topic after the podcast. So,
cool.
We are talking to Frank Ania of Frank Ania and the Crooked Hearts. You may know him of BER fame, but hopefully he'll be receptive and he'll come and talk about his perspective on music afterwards. Nothing's set in stone, obviously. Don't go harassing the gentleman. But I do encourage you to talk to us. Tell us what kind of music you enjoy and how music has affected you. Now in the comment section here or however you contact us. talk to us about your music so we can have something to build up to on Friday.
Sure.
But yeah, that's our schedule for the next 3 days. Just to recap that, it was social responsibility tomorrow. It was how the world will end, which is a theoretical and fun video, on
Yo,
Thursday, and the effect of music on Friday. I have nothing else to add here. Do you, Coders?
No, I think we got a good coverage here.
All right. Well, as always, it's been great chatting with you all. Great chatting with you, Coders.
You as well.
And we'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.
Goodbye.